shit, boy! Justice League! Wah, wah, wah. the Justice League that they released. Who in their right mind looked at that and thought, les magnifique? Because having watched now Zack Snyder, I've watched it now twice. Boom, boom, boom. That's right. It's going to be hard not talking about Joss Whedon's the Justice League and talk about this because like you got that opening sequence of Justice League, and they want to show this world that's out of control, and they've got these two punks who like walk in and it's like knock over a thing of tomatoes or some shit. It's just like, ooh, now that Superman's out of the picture, we're gonna go and knock over some apples in the fruit and veg shop. Now we've got the opening where Superman, you see him dying, and you see these screams. Oh, and I just love the way they visualized it. You know, it's just like these waves of his voice just flying across the cities and waking up the mother boxes, you know, in all of the different spots. And immediately, and now we understand why Steppenwolf suddenly decides, hey, I'm going to go there. It wasn't just like, I want a vacation, and while I'm there, hopefully I get to slaughter some Amazons. It signals him, and he comes to fetch the mother boxes. Wonder Woman's opening scene. Brilliant. You know, I love that they kept that brutality in. She's a warrior. She kicks ass. Oh, the anticipation that they build for her, first of all. They take the time. You know, I don't know, it's 4 hours. It is a 4-hour movie. It's long. It's indulgent. But because he had the time, he really got to build each of the sequences, build each of the scenes. You know, with the Wonder Woman sequence, it takes time before she arrives and she explodes through the doors and then just starts kicking ass. It just puts the biggest smile on my face when she first does it. And then she just slams that dude into the wall and makes a modern painting with his blood like that. I loved it. And then she just kicks their ass and she's brutal. And I dig that. That's wonderful. And yes, again, a little bit indulgent. And she blows up the dude. She just like, hey, tack. And it's just his head left. It's wonderful. It's just going to be this indelible print in these kids' minds. Just this dude just exploding into nothing. Themyscira. Oh, that sequence just plays out so much better. Just so much better. There's a brutality to Steppenwolf that was missing in the previous cut. And you know, I love the Amazons just waiting there, guarding that box. It's like this constant guard of just in case shit goes down. The art direction is just amazing. Hippolyta's gown. There's like a funeral sequence and also like a moment where she has to signal Wonder Woman and tell her das groot kakno, and she gets this giant flaming arrow and shoots it, but she's wearing this gown that just reflects. It's just so royal and just so mean. I loved it. I loved the way it looked. And then she summons Wonder Woman. When Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, I wasn't mad about it. I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was that bad, but I didn't think it would be great. In Batman vs Superman, he proved to be way better than I expected. But I still didn't rate him as a great Batman. But in Justice League, he is fantastic. He is Bruce Wayne, and he is Batman. He just looks the part. And what I liked about it, and talking about the narrative that had grown from Batman vs Superman to here, was that in Batman vs Superman, everyone's very upset about him because he was just like this disillusioned husk of a man, which was the character arc. Now, with his interaction with Superman and realizing what he had done and what he had done was wrong, etc., him as a character, he just grew into this person who required faith and hope and just some of the lines that he had and just him putting together the team. I just thought it was a great anchor for the human to be collecting the superhuman people to come together to fight this new supernatural threat. So he was fantastic. The only thing that I would say is that I feel that he's too big. He's too bulky. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, but he's too he's like massive, whereas for me, Batman feels more like he should be more sleek, like a ninja. I think he should be more agile and that kind of thing. I mean, he's shown to be agile, particularly at the end of Batman vs Superman with that kick-ass warehouse battle scene. But I feel like he's too muscular, you know. But minor issue. It's just sometimes he looks a little bit uncomfortable. He's like uber inflated. I thought he was great, and yes, he drops the F-bomb at the end. You mean this vigilante who had his parents killed in front of him has to deal with people like the Joker, Two-Face, the Riddler, all of these psychopaths? He might drop the F-bomb? Oh no. So he did, and I'd imagine as a character progressing in that sequence, you know, I understand it and it really didn't bug me. But did it seem a bit odd? Yeah. Could it have been without? Yeah. But it really wasn't an issue for me. The Flash. Ooh. That opening sequence with him. Now, first of all, let me tell you that I think this isn't Barry Allen. This isn't. They can call him Barry Allen all they like. They've put in the little things. His mother got killed and wada, and the father's... As a character, though, for me, he seems more like a more grown-up Impulse. Just the way he is. The erraticness of it. The one thing that still doesn't work for me in this one, and it didn't work for me in the last one, just how easily just like, okay, cool, okay, dude, who I do not know, who throws a batarang at me, who I'm just going to assume is Batman, which also seemed a bit odd, like Bruce Wayne. Why would he just reveal himself like that? I suppose he had the faith. I don't know. That didn't play out that well for me. That's fine. It's also, again, it's a minor issue, but I like the explanation for his suit. A lot of people don't like his suit. I personally like it. It looks like a suit that a youngster who got bits and pieces and whatever and made it from like pieces of shuttle that protected it from re-entry, which I really liked, to explain like heat and all that kind of stuff. And I know he's protected by the Speed Force, blah blah. But the logic behind it is cool, and the way he runs, like. Also, one of those things that a lot of people didn't dig, the way he runs, because it looks kind of a little bit goofy. But there's a particular shot right at the end, and it's actually a couple of times. So first of all, there's the shot where you see them resurrecting Superman, and you actually see what I really like about the way they've approached the way he runs is that because he's running so fast, it's not just like a cartoon, you know, like a when they just like these fast little feet. Like logically, he's running so fast, he's actually leaping. You know, he's going really far before he hits the ground. You know, so it's actually like these mad big steps that he has to take, and because of the ground's really passing underneath him, and it's not just like this little fast run, which I quite appreciated the way they approached that. It's just a different thoughts. And then what they really did that was really different, which I really liked, and then you really got to see it this time, particularly at the end, was that it was almost like a channeling of energy. It's almost like a chi. It's a movement that isn't just like a natural run. There's like there's a function to the way he's running visually, and they gave it some thought. Whether it would work like that or not, I don't know. I mean, it's the Speed Force and it's a fantasy and it's whatever. But at least it wasn't just the generic I'm going to run fast, like, Quicksilver basically does that. And it's not that those scenes in the X-Men movies aren't great, but this, I really just liked the way he just like almost felt like a chi, like an energy, using that Speed Force. It was really snazzy. Aquaman, for me, Jason Momoa should be Lobo. He's Lobo. I mean, it's just a missed opportunity. He's not the Aquaman that I always visualized, but he did a great job. And within this movie, it's almost like an Elseworlds kind of thing. I think he's cool. His armor looks great. It's not his final suit. I always kind of saw it as a pre-armor or his own like custom battle suit. He looks cool. His whole sequence and all that stuff is cool. The battle with Steppenwolf is badass. And just that whole underwater sequence and him as a character, he feels a lot more melancholy. You get to understand that he's dealing with a lot more issues. I mean, he's got a trident with he's got a trident with 5 spokes. There's a butt. Now we're talking trident. This is not a trident, my friend, but cool, whatever. Cyborg. Business. Everything with him is just so cool. He's a little bit morbid, a little bit miff, but he has reason to be. He had a very upsetting start. His origin is bleak. The whole sequence with him doing the football is beautiful. Jeez, like how beautifully shot is that with the snow and the slow-mo and whatever, and and then the sequence where the father's talking on the recorder, and it's intercut with him talking about like his powers and how much his powers are, just explaining basically everything that Cyborg can do, and just visualizing everything. I really dug that sequence. It's a little bit cheesy, when he's talking about the stock markets and you've got the bull and the bear fighting. I'm like, oh, it's a bit cheesy, but it still looked kind of cool. And him giving that lady the $100,000. It was a cool sequence, and I just dig the way he's been envisioned. I dig the way he feels like a machine, and the way that when he wears a jacket, you can see like it's protruding. It's got sharp edges and that kind of thing. And he's a bit bigger, and just that whole thing, just the way he moves and everything, and also the relationship with his father. Just it worked really, really well. From the moment that you meet and you see, okay, this guy, they don't get on, I'm a monster and all of that kind of stuff. And then through to the sequence where they come to resurrect Superman, and that moment that the two of them share, which was fantastic. Just really, really nice character stuff and subtle enough, and up to the moment where the father sacrifices himself. And just the emotion that you feel in the sequence where he's like struggling to come towards him, and you got that tear falling off. It was fantastic. That whole sequence and everything to do with Cyborg was amazing. Right at the end when he's operating on the mother boxes, and it's just fabulous stuff. And then of course we've got Superman. So much better in this movie. His resurrection works so much nicer. That whole sequence, what I loved? I loved that they were afraid. They were like, okay, we need to do this because this guy's kicking our asses straight up. And that whole sequence where it's around the table and everybody's like, okay, so we got to do this. I mean, this is some crazy shit that we're doing. We've got to dig up a corpse first of all. Then we've got to use the mother boxes to resurrect them, and even that they put the thought process there as to what the mother boxes do, and that whole thing is just so much better. And yes, it takes time, but I was engrossed throughout the entire sequence. I was engrossed through the entire scene, through the entire movie. But I really liked that they took the time to explain that, and that whole sequence when the Flash comes and you actually see for the first time that his ability to reverse time. Because he runs towards it and the thing goes down, the picture falls into the water, and then the picture starts coming out, and then he gets resurrected, and that water bursts through, and it's just awesome. And that shot, when you just see Superman floating above the city, it's just like wow. And the moment that they just took, they just hold on the shots of there's Jimmy Olsen having his cameo, and Lois Lane, all of that stuff is just really, really cool. It's just like it holds on and then eventually reveals him at the top there. And I love that the four of them arrive and Batman only comes later. It's just like, cheers, Wood, we'll catch you later. Batman's like, I'll see you there now. Like somebody give him a lift. Okay. You guys are super strong. Not one of you could have carried Superman. I mean, not one of you could have carried Batman up to this to see Superman. They were just like, cheers, what? I did laugh at that. So they arrive, and then then Superman comes out, and he's just like, because he doesn't have his memory, and then obviously Cyborg senses that he's a threat and attacks him and whatnot. But one of my favorite moments was where Flash, I mean, because first of all, he manhandles all of them. He's Superman. And what I loved about that sequence was it shows you that there's a reason that they need him. He is Superman. The rest of them are, they do their thing. Wonder Woman's super strong and she's mean. Batman's intelligent. Cyborg's got his IT. He can solve any IT problem. You've got a network issue. Cyborg's got it. Aquaman, your fish tank's dirty. He's got it. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm saying? They've got all their specific talents and they're all really strong and powerful within their worlds. But Superman is Superman. And this shows you how powerful he is. And I love that Wonder Woman kind of gives him a go, enough to, like, when they clash heads. And then he goes up and he just into the ground. It's like, oh, that's going to hurt. So that whole sequence just played out really nicely. And the moment that I'm talking about that I really, really liked was Flash, when he's running, and he's doing his thing. And then Superman's eyes go, and he's just like, great edit, great cut. That is a great example of comedic timing in a cut, because you don't see his reaction change. It's changed in the cut, and it's wonderful, wonderful editing. And then he bails or whatever. It was great. And that when he runs and Superman dodges him, and it's Aquaman. That reaction afterwards is priceless. Aquaman's just like, that was wonderful. The moments where Superman's like trying to hit him is a bit clumsy. It's just like that didn't work out that great. It looks a little bit silly. But overall, that whole sequence just really works well. But the moment that really gets you is where Batman eventually catches up to everybody. And everything's already gone to shit. And he sees Superman like pissed off and just like blowing shit up with his eyes and floating in the air, and nobody can do anything. It's just, that's what they feared the most, is what happens if this happens. And he's like, Clark, the world needs you. That performance, that delivery was fantastic by Ben Affleck. And then just obviously the stuff with Lois, where he picks her up and goes, he's like, hey, check this bit. So he takes her off to the house, and there's just like really nice moments there where they spend time, just where Superman is remembering stuff, and I really liked the mirroring, make fun of me like that, it's like, hey. Mirroring of the shot. If you remember in Man of Steel, there was a shot where him as a boy is sitting on that swing, and then there's the same shot, but the swing is empty. It's just sitting there. It was just a great, and they do that a couple of times. The mirroring thing. There's when we have that flashback to the whole Lord of the Rings sequence with Darkseid when he appears, which is another bit of an issue. I don't want to talk about that now, but when he appears, what a cool shot. When he jumps out and it just like goes like that and he just lands. But then he puts his hand in the ground and then he drags it through, and then later on you see Steppenwolf do that exact same move, which I really like that, the correlation of it. And then exactly in that sequence there's a shot with an axe coming in and cutting Darkseid, which then is mirrored later with Steppenwolf doing that exact same thing with an axe, and it hits Superman and he just tunes him out. I'm not impressed, you little bitch, but so that was that was cool. So he uses that a couple of times, old Zack Snyder in this movie, which I really liked, like a reincorporation of this imagery. And then Superman Returns. Another thing that I didn't really like was that he walks through his ship and he's sussing out, oh, check out that suit, and check out that suit, and check out that suit, and then he just picks the black suit. There's no real reasoning to pick the black suit. You already got your blue suit, so why wouldn't you have just taken that blue suit? Why did he walk in and it would just be like, today I feel like wearing black? It doesn't make sense. Like in the comics, he wears a black suit. I mean, they show him flying up, and you got that whole angelic Jesus shot of him soaking up the sunlight. So they kind of show that he's soaking up that sunlight, but it's never really explained. It would have been nice if they explained it a little bit more as to the reason why he's got a black suit. Because he has to charge up more. He has to soak up that sunlight because he's weakened. He's in a weakened state. But obviously he's resurrected and he's already at full strength, otherwise the Justice League wouldn't have struggled with him. So it's kind of this like dichotomy and a little bit of an issue over there that didn't make sense. And then he gets his black suit and returns then to save the day. Let's talk about Darkseid. They don't really show him much, but I love that he's like ginormous. Desaad, what a scumbag, as you'd expect. A little hint of grain of goodness, which you don't really see. Darkseid, you don't really get that much about him. He's not really a strong character. You just know that he's deadly and he'll, he beats shit up. Steppenwolf is so much better. That armor is sick. I love the way it looks. I love the color. It's got like this violet silver. It's just like almost like an oily kind of tone to the color, and it's alive and it just moves. And in that sequence where the Amazonians are fighting him and trying to get that box away from him, and that whole sequence just plays out so much better. It isn't just this random, okay, we're going to run with the box on an island. Where are you going to run to? You guys are on an island. Steppenwolf is going to catch up to you one way or the other. But the way that scene is built up now, you understand it a little bit more. It makes more sense because the stuff hasn't just been hacked. We're going to just cut everything out of here. No. The whole scene just makes sense. And it's like that throughout the movie. We just don't have scenes being hacked to pieces to make it work into some Frankenstein kind of movie. But there's a cool part where Steppenwolf gets his arrows like in his armor and he's like and it just snaps the arrows. I was just like, ooh boy, he's just too cool. And what I really dug was that once he had the box, I'm out of here. Wasn't want to kill that what. It's I've got the box, you guys are over, I'm out. Peace. I liked Steppenwolf. I liked him as a character. I actually thought that he was pretty strong. He wasn't Thanos. Thanos is still a better villain. You could see that all he really wanted to do was get back in Darkseid's books. He just wanted to be part of that army again. He just wanted to be accepted again. And the way he was going to get accepted again was to find this anti-life equation on Earth. The anti-life equation, which also doesn't make sense. Darkseid just kind of forgets. I don't know, maybe just after he loses that battle on Earth, maybe he went back to Apocalypse and became like a raging alcoholic for like a couple 100 years. And he drank to forget, and he actually forgot where it was. He was just like, oh, that place, it was Mars, no, Venus, no, wasn't there, it was Krypton, nah. I don't know, he just kind of forgot where it was, conveniently. But, again, minor issues didn't really bug me that much. It was a lot of time, I can't remember what I wore yesterday. I find it a bit weird that you remember what I was wearing yesterday. I've got my eyes on you. Just overall, you know what I loved? I loved that the Justice League had a plan. Batman and the boys and girls all had a plan despite not having Superman with. They were just like, okay, well, Superman's not here. He's gone off to spend some quality time with his bint. Now, we've got to sort this out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So this is the plan. This is the plan. I'm going to shoot a hole in the thing and blow up the what, and then I'm going to drive, and you're going to fly, and whatever. And they have this whole big plan, and they're going to try anyway. I loved that they were going to do that. And that whole sequence just plays out so much nicer. It gives Batman more of a thing to do, and I dig that he was the one who put his hand up and said, I'm going to open up the way for you guys, and I'm going to take that risk. I'm going to go in and do that kind of stuff, and it's important that then you guys carry on and do your super things, because this is what I'm going to do. That sequence played out so cool when he shot the tower and then whatever, and the tower crashed on the things, on the parademons. It was very cool. Then they arrive, then they have this battle with Steppenwolf, which was awesome, with Wonder Woman. Another thing with Wonder Woman that I loved was that she used her shield And the way she fought was like a warrior. It wasn't just like, I'm going to punch it. And you see it in the sequence where they first come, where Cyborg and Wonder Woman and whatever, where they've kidnapped the scientists. And you see like she just like, whoosh, whoops out this, and she's got the sword and whatever. It's just so cool. It's got that Amazonian thing, which I just kind of forget in all the other movies. And I love that they paid attention to that battle stance. It was flipping cool. And that whole sequence was just so cool with Flash running up and down. Oh, the lightning bolts, where they see him above, and there's just like these flashes of lightning bolts. And then he goes back and he runs and he tips that sword, and it's the painting obviously, but just that where Wonder Woman catches the sword. That whole sequence was just so well put together. And at the end, they've got that sequence where they're fighting as a team. So you've got Aquaman and you've got Wonder Woman and you've got Cyborg, and they're smacking him around and fighting Steppenwolf, and it's an actual fight now. And then they're kind of losing a little bit, and then Wonder Woman hits the shield. That's also such a cool shot. She like hits the shield. The dumb thing, of course, is that the bridge blows up, and 2 seconds later the bridge is back. Continuity. So that was whatever. But then Superman arrives, and I love the way he just abuses Steppenwolf. Bah, bah, cut off your horn. And even just the way they beat him up, it's just like they make it good and proper. He gets fucked up good and proper. Return back, and then Wonder Woman does that last little head off. Yeah, return. And I love that Darkseid was just like, squash. It's like, man, okay, whatever, you're a loser. Loser. So that sequence worked out really well, and I also dug that even though Superman easily beat Steppenwolf, that didn't mean that it saved the day, because the mother boxes were still together, and then they go and try to pull off the thing, and then it gets the unity, and it just like explodes and decimates everything, and then that whole sequence with Flash where the shit just blowing past him, and then he's just like, okay, I've got to go as fast as I can, and just to reverse time, and that's where you see that rhythm, that pulling together, like that chi of running through, and there's the matter returning as he's reversing time and running back into time, and it's just appearing under his feet, and then the sinew and the bone and the muscle and the skin returning as they get to the box, and they separate that box. Again, what really worked was that it felt like the whole team was operating there. It was working. They were working together, and even though Superman was clearly the most powerful and he clearly decimated Steppenwolf easily, it still needed the team. It still needed Flash to be able to do that. It still needed Cyborg to be able to get involved in the mother boxes. It still needed Wonder Woman and Aquaman to battle up front, and it needed all of that to come together for them to fight Steppenwolf and to save the day. And at the end of the day, this was supposed to be the step up before you fight Darkseid. This was the warm up. Steppenwolf couldn't be that powerful. It's just to show that he's powerful enough that it requires Superman. But now what happens when Darkseid and his armies and all of those dudes come, and Darkseid is tough? So what are they going to do against him? That whole moment was also cool, where they're just like staring down at each other, which was sick. The nightmare sequence, did it have to be there? No. We're talking about indulgence. Did it have to be there? No. But at least what it does is it ties back into Flash appearing in Batman vs Superman. So now we've got much more of a link between the narratives, which was really nice. And I like that scene with Jared Leto. I like the way he laughs. I like the way he is as the Joker. I think he's cool. Is he the best Joker? No. But is he an effective Joker? Yeah, I think so. I don't think that he was given a fair shake in Suicide Squad. I think he was edited really badly. There are really things that I really, really like, and things that they kind of took out. Now, like I always liked the tattoo on his mouth, and when you put it on and he's got the smile on his hand, I like that. I like the way he laughs. I like the way he squints his eyes and whatnot. I think there's a lot there to like. Like I said, is he the best Joker? No, but that sequence and that interaction between the two of them, I enjoy it. It's an alternate universe, it's an alternate timeline, and it's just visions that Batman is having, so it could be also just how he's seeing it. but I think it works. What I thought was really hilarious was Hera's accent. Suddenly she's very proper. I'm British, don't you know? Go for a spot of tea, Aquaman? Oh, yes. Oh, so hot and bothered in the suit. Yeah, that's a that was a bit funny. They kind of just dropped that. Like the aspect ratio, I could have done without. You know, like had I watched it on IMAX, I think it would have been nicely and effective, the size. But watching it on the TV, I mean, after a little bit, I didn't really notice it. And watching it in 4K, it was just so beautiful anyway. But I could have done without it. I would have loved it if it filled up my screen. The Wonder Woman music was annoying as, you know, I like her other theme. They like guitar, that electric guitar theme or whatever. I like that, but the choral voice. I mean, there was even, you know, Zack Snyder does it. Every now and again, he'll just put a scene to a piece of music, and I know that it's not supposed to be funny, but I laugh anyway. In Watchmen, where Night Owl and what was her name? Anyway, they hook up in that ship, and they got Hallelujah playing. Oh, I laughed. I did laugh. I don't think it worked out exactly how. I mean, I know Zack Snyder. Oh, he loves that. He loves that song. And you can really tell his taste in music because it permeates this movie, which is great. I think it suits the tone. It was wonderful, particularly the song that they chose for Aquaman, where he's leaving and the waves are crashing. He's getting drunk. And let me tell you, it irritates the living shit out of me that he smashes that bottle and it gets washed into the ocean. Like, but you're littering. You're supposed to be an example. You couldn't have put that in the bin. No. The moment that made me laugh was where she flies in when Batman, near the end, Batman's in the car and he's got some parademons on the car and they've ripped off the roof and he's just like, okay, this is it. And then she flies in and it actually looks like she's singing. She, ah! So that made me laugh. Another sequence that made me laugh with regards to music and the scene, and it was just a very odd scene, was just before the sequence with Steppenwolf, and he's kidnapped the scientists, and they figure out, okay, this is where we've got to go, the Justice League boys and girls, and then you see them arrive, and then you see them, this music is gang, 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 gang. I've heard, guys, and they're all like walking up the stairs. It's like, why did you just fly up? Come on, guys. Wonder Woman, you're strong enough, you could just leap up with Batman. You guys could all just get there in like 10 or 15 minutes. In those 10 or 15 minutes that you have taken walking up the stairs, Steppenwolf could have killed 4 people. Bro, like, huzzy. So, but it is pretty cool at the top there where you see that the break in the bridge. I think they kept it in the previous Justice League, where you see the different approaches to crossing the bridge. I really like that moment, and it just shows how each of them approach a problem differently. So before they've even finished, it flashes on the other side. You know, he thinks impulsively. Wonder Woman does her super leap. Batman just like cool as he shoots the batarang. He shoots his little cable, and then of course you got Cyborg. He just like flies. So it was cool to see how they use their powers there, and it was a nice little moment of a very small problem and how each of the characters solve it in their own way, showing the different characters, which I really liked. Another thing that I found was a little bit disappointing was Green Lantern in that battle. Didn't really do much with his ring. He just kind of shoots lasers. You know, you kind of want to see like hands or like a bow and arrow at that time. Maybe like imagines like a big bow and arrow or a trebuchet or a catapult or something, you know, just something a bit more imaginative. There were some effects that didn't look that great. You know, Themyscira still doesn't look all that wonderful. It still looks generated. It doesn't look real. You know, there's just something about it that didn't work. It didn't work in the Justice League. It doesn't work in this one. Just visually, it still looks fine, but there's something very, very green screen about it. And compared to the rest of the movie, it just didn't work that well for me. There's a shot where, I mean, the whole sequence is pretty cool, but where, like, when Hippolyta is running out of that temple, and she's got the mother box, and they're like, okay, hit with the hammers, and they slam the thing shut and whatever, but then she slides through, and just that whole shot of her sliding through didn't look good at all. I didn't like the goggles on Batman's cowl. I didn't like that he had separate goggles. It just would have made sense if you just pushed a button and he had it built in, just like lenses that came in and out, but they were like, okay, well, we've got this prop left over from Watchmen, so maybe we could use that. And then the other thing that I wasn't really that bad about was just that it was a bit generic, the whole where Flash arrives and he's dressed in the military uniform, and it's like he hands his card, and then the guy goes and checks it, and it's not there, and Cyborg still has to hack it, and then it's there. Just like, we've seen this sequence 100 times. Boring. There was one more thing I didn't like. The scene with Martha and Lois Lane. The actual scene I liked a lot, but then it goes out and Martha turns into Martian Manhunter, and it just robs the entire sequence of any kind of emotion. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. That was, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Like, why was this guy getting involved? Why was he trying to get Lois Lane to go back to work? What is it of your business to go and get involved in there? Martian Manhunter, of all things. There was never a link between you and anybody else. So why is Martian Manhunter there? At the end, okay, fine. I know that Zack Snyder wanted Green Lantern. He wanted John Stewart. I would have preferred it to be Green Lantern. But I also love Martian Manhunter. And I like that end sequence as well, where Bruce is like, yeah, but I'm jaded now. I've seen 100 different superheroes and all of these flying beings. So just to see another one is kind of like, okay, cool. That sequence with Martian Manhunter and Lois Lane, just, what? But that's really it. That's all that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, it's such minor things. If you enjoyed Batman vs Superman, the Ultimate Edition, not the hacked version that was released to theaters, the one with the extra half an hour, that's more to Zack Snyder's vision. If you like Zack Snyder's movies, I don't see why you shouldn't watch this. It is spectacular. Is it as good as Endgame? I think it's better than Endgame. Overall, I think Endgame had moments in it, and particularly the last third, that worked really well for me. But I do think that this is better than Endgame. Infinity War, that's when we start to have a little bit of a discussion. And one day, I think we might just have that. We might just have that talk. Rock and roll. See you next time.